Today we're going to look at finding the area of 2D shapes, and particularly we're going to look at finding the areas of triangles, parallelograms and trapeziums. Now many of you probably would have already found the areas of these shapes, but what you probably did would have been to cut the shape into different areas and add all your areas up. We're not going to be doing that this time. We're going to be using our formulas for finding the area of these shapes. First of all, let's start with the area of triangles. We have two triangles here and they both look very different. Up the top here in the right-hand corner, you will see a copy of the formula that we're going to use. The area of a triangle is equal to a half of the base times the height. And that's the formula that we're going to be using. So let's look at this first triangle. Now the first thing you notice about the triangle is that there's a lot of information about it. We have the lengths of all three sides here, and we also have the vertical height of the triangle. Now, all this information is meant to distract you. All you need is two pieces of information. All you need is the length of the base and the length of the height. Okay? The other two pieces of information are there to distract you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start with our formula. Our area is equal to 1/2 of the base times the height. I'm using abbreviations now, B for base and H for height. Let's now put in our values for our base and our height. So we have 1/2 times 53 times 22. Now, if you don't want to go straight to the calculator, a good way to do this is to say, I can do 1/2 times 22. I can do 1/2 of 22. That's 11. So this is equal to 11 times 53. I can still even do this without a calculator. I can break 11 times 53 up into 10 times 53 plus 1 times 53. 11 is 10 plus 1, so I can break it up like that. Now 10 times 53 is easy to do. That's 530. And 1 times 53 is 53. So 530 plus 53 will give me 583. And that's equal to centimetres squared. Now, if you can't do it like that, of course you can just go straight to your calculator. But sometimes it's good to be able to use mental arithmetic like this. Okay, let's look at the second one now. Again, we're going to say the area is equal to 1/2 times the base times the height. This time we've got a base of 34 millimetres. So it's 1/2 times 34 times 29. Now for this one, we'll go straight to the calculator. We're going to say 1/2 of 34 gives us 17 times 29. You can always do that. You can multiply 1/2 by the first number or the second number. Doesn't matter which one. It's easier for me to do 1/2 of 34 because it's an even number. Now on my calculator, I'm going to do 17 times 29, and that's going to give me 493. So my answer is going to be 493 square millimetres. Please notice the way I am doing my working. This is the way I want to see your working done. We always write down the formula first. We then show the way we have put our values into the formula, and then we can maybe do one line of working, or we can go straight to the calculator and work out our final answer. Okay, let's look at this next example. It's finding the area of a parallelogram. Now, once again, up in this right-hand corner, we've got the formula for finding the area of a parallelogram. It's very easy. It's the same as the area of a rectangle. Whereas with the area of a rectangle, when we say the area is length times width, for a parallelogram, we say the area is the base times the height. So if we look at the parallelogram we've got here, we've got a base of 6.7 and we've got a vertical height of 4.2. Remember, height always means the vertical height, the perpendicular height. And we can see clearly here, my perpendicular height is 4.2. So we start off by writing our formula down. Area is equal to the base times the height. My base here is 6.7 and my height is 4.2. So for this one, we're going to go straight to our calculator and work that out. 6.7 times 4.2 gives me 28.14. So the area is going to be 28.14 square millimetres. Remember to always write your unit of measurement in your answer. And again, see how I've done my working. I've written the formula first. I've shown how I've put my values into the formula, and then I've used my calculator to work out my answer. So finally, we're now going to look at finding the area of a trapezium. Now, this formula is more complicated than the other two, so we need to just quickly work through it. The formula is up here in the right-hand corner, and it says that the area is equal to 1/2 of the height times the sum of A plus B. Now, A and B are the two parallel sides in my trapezium. In this first one here, this is A and this is B, and here is my height. In this one, A is here, B is here, and here is my height. In this one, this is A, this is B, and here is my height. So A, B, and H tell us the values to put into our formula. In the past, in primary school, you might have done these ones by breaking them up into rectangles and triangles. This is a way to do it, but it takes much more time. Using the formula is much simpler. Let's see how. So let's do the first one. First of all, let's write down our formula. Our area is equal to 1/2 of the height times A plus B. Now let's put our values in. That's 1/2 of 2 times 3 plus 6. Let's do our brackets first. That's what Bodmas tells us to do. 3 plus 6 is 9. So we have 1/2 of 2 times 9. Now you can do this two ways. You can say, what's 1/2 of 2? It's 1, and 1 times 9 is 9. Or you can say 2 times 9 is 18, and 1/2 of 18 is 9. Either way, we get our final answer of 9 square centimetres. And there's our final answer. Again, look at how I've done my working. Look at how I've written my units of measurement with my answer. Let's do the next one. We've got, again, let's write our formula down first. 1/2 of the height times A plus B. Let's substitute our values into our formula. We've got 1/2 of 5 times 3 plus 11. Let's do the brackets first. 3 plus 11 is 14. 1/2 of 5 times 14. Now, like in our previous example, I can now simply say, an easy way to do it is to say, what's a half times 14? A half of 14 is 7, so I now have 5 times 7. And 5 times 7 is 35, which is 35 square centimetres. Again, look at the way I've done my working. I start with my formula. I show how I substitute my values into my formula. I've got a couple of extra lines of working, and then my final answer with the units of measurement. Now, the next one is a lot harder to do in your head because we've got decimals. So we're going to use our calculator for this one. So let's write our formula down first. Area is equal to a half of the height times A plus B. So now let's substitute our values in. Now my height is 9.2, so I've got a half times 9.2 times, in a bracket, 12.4 plus, and then I've got 8.8. Now we have to do our bracket first, okay? And so our 12.4 plus 8.8 is going to give me 21.2. So I've got a half times 9.2 times 21.2. Now I'm going to go straight to my calculator. I'm going to do 9.2 times 21.2. So we've got a half. Now 9.2 times 21.2 gives me 195.04. And then I have to take 1/2 of that value. So when I divide 195.04 by 2, I get 97.52. So my area is going to be 97.52, this time square metres. So I hope you've got the message from this, not only how to use the formulas, but also how to set out your working and the important things that you have to do. When we use a formula anytime in maths, doesn't matter what subject, we need to write the formula down first. We need to show how we're substituting our values in. From there, you can go straight to the calculator, or you can show extra working if you want to. That's up to you. Finally, your answer should always have your units of measurement with it. I hope you find this useful when you are finding the areas of triangles, parallelograms and trapeziums.